Okay, Broncos country, looks like we are live, but you guys know the drill by now. We've got to let the stream breathe for just a second here and make sure that everything is nice and stable all across the YouTube platform. Welcome in, Broncos country, to this Denver Broncos Syndicate live stream. I'm your host, Gage Madrid. Let's go ahead and get a few people to start streaming on in here. While we do that, if you could just do me a big favor and smash the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. Additionally, if you want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, please consider becoming a channel member today. It's not mandatory, but if you want some extra perks and incentives in exchange for helping me out and helping the channel grow, the link is in the description below. Maverick in the house. It's the Madrid kid again. Love it, love it. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into the news of the day here. Without further ado, the Denver Broncos just released their final injury report ahead of their Week 14 game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Yesterday's injury report presented a couple of scares, but it seems that both of them have worked themselves out. I want to go ahead and bring it in. So, listed as out for this game are Nate Atkins with his knee injury and DJ Jones with his ankle injury. Neither one of those are a big surprise. They did not participate throughout the week. The good news comes with Zach Allen and Pat Bryant. They both popped up on the injury report yesterday. Allen popped up with a calf and he was DNP, and then Bryant popped up with a hamstring and he was limited. The good news is Zach Allen got a full practice in. Pat Bryant got a limited practice in, so they are both good to go. They don't have injury designations for the game. Jonah Ellis is in line to make his return after missing the last few games with a hamstring injury, and Reese Taylor is also in line to play after suffering a chest injury in the Commanders game. So overall, really positive news for the Denver Broncos as they head into this one. We've got Lambo in the house saying hi from England. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much for watching all the way across the pond. That is awesome. Glad to be on from Missouri. Good to see you, 69 Bodog. So that's the injury report from the Denver Broncos side of things. As far as the Raiders are concerned, Dante Thornton, Michael Mayer, and I think there was one more player. They're all set to be out for this game for the Raiders. Max Crosby was DNP both yesterday and today with some sort of injury. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was a knee injury, but Pete Carroll said that he's expected to play in this game. So we thought there for a while that Max Crosby might not terrorize us in this one, but he is going to play, and the Denver Broncos are going to have a plan for him on every single play. Max Crosby is one of those dudes, as the Denver Broncos well know, that can wreck a game. I mean, he can just have a couple of plays out there where he wrecks shop, and it makes an impact on the entire game. So Max Crosby, he is going to play in this one for the Raiders, and he wrecked shop in the most recent matchup between the Broncos and the Raiders. Sean Payton actually talked about the game plan from the Broncos' offensive perspective in that game, and he said, and I quote, "It was awful. It was terrible." So the Broncos are going to go into this one with a much better offensive game plan. I remember that night, Sean Payton was talking about how the Raiders were matching up with their defensive personnel different than how the Broncos expected them to. Whenever the Broncos were coming out in three wide receiver sets, the Raiders were matching up with base defense, aka more linebackers and less defensive backs. Denver didn't have the ability to adjust to that too well. So in this game, they're going to be prepared for any of these personnel curveballs that the Raiders throw at them. Somehow, this Raiders team has gotten worse between last year and this year. Or, I'm sorry, between this last game and this next game. Both their offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, and their special teams coordinator, Tom McMahon, our old friend, they've been fired since this game. And the Raiders have suffered a bunch of injuries on the offensive line. They lost their second best offensive lineman, Jackson Powers Johnson, in that Denver game. And their franchise left tackle, Colton Miller, he's been out for basically the majority of the season. So the offensive line has gotten even worse since that Denver game. They're playing a bunch of rookies. Geno Smith has taken a ton of hits since that Denver game. I want to say he's the most hit quarterback in the NFL since that Denver game. So the Raiders are regressing big time. And the Broncos, they're showing more and more signs of progress. They got the big win against the Chiefs, and then they were able to survive against Washington. So if the Broncos come out and play their best football, they keep their foot on the gas for all 4 quarters, I don't see any reason why this game shouldn't be a blowout victory for the Denver Broncos. We're going to talk about that more in tomorrow's game preview video, but quite frankly, man, I think that there is no reason whatsoever why the Denver Broncos shouldn't steamroll the Raiders. Cairo, I'd appreciate if we don't bring any form of politics into this channel. This is a sports channel, man. I don't care what side people lean on, but quite frankly, any form of politics can just cause a bunch of stir-ups and a bunch of crap that I don't want on this channel. So I'd appreciate if we could just keep all that stuff out of it. But I think that the Raiders are in a really tough spot right now. It seems the Pete Carroll experiment has just been a massive failure for them. I mean, they brought him in. He was supposed to be that raw type of head coach that we saw in Seattle. He was supposed to bring a positive culture, a competitive culture to the Raiders, and they've been anything but competitive this year. They only have 2 wins on the season, and they've been blown out by really bad teams such as the Cleveland Browns. This team doesn't have fight. You don't see that spark from Pete Carroll on the sideline. It's just weird, man. And then the Chip Kelly hire, that never made sense from the get-go. I never thought that Chip Kelly, as a pass-happy coach, would mesh well with a guy like Pete Carroll who wants to run the football down the opponent's throat. So, yeah, it's just really weird, man. And I never thought it was a recipe for success. The media was pushing out all these narratives. Oh, the Raiders are going to be so good this year. From the get-go, the Pete Carroll hire was weird. The Chip Kelly hire was weird. Keeping Patrick Graham as their defensive coordinator, that was a good move. And on paper, the Raiders had a good draft, but the problem is with Pete Carroll, he doesn't like playing rookies. It's kind of like Sean Payton in that regard. So it's really, really difficult to get a judge on this draft class for the Raiders when Carroll doesn't even want to play them. So, yeah, it's really, really tough, man. Just don't play down to our competition. I agree. The Denver Broncos have had a big problem with that all season long. The last Raiders game was, in my opinion, the worst game for the Broncos all season long. They looked legitimately terrible in that game. But by the same token, the Broncos looked like shit in that game, and the Raiders still couldn't pull off a victory. And they were at much greater strength then than they are now. They've suffered a lot more injuries, and they've had some guys get fired since then. So, yeah, man, this Raiders team is in a bad spot, and I think that the Denver Broncos have a chance to get their first truly dominant blowout victory. Well, I guess the Cowboys game and the Bengals game, but I'm talking like 42-10. That is how this game should go because the Raiders are absolutely deceased. How hot is Carroll's seat in Vegas given he's made the Raiders worse? I mean, I don't know at this point because Mark Davis and Tom Brady, they're running the show, and I don't know what the mindset of either one of those people are. Mark Davis, he's typically a guy who's quick to fire, but I don't know if Brady's going to try to convince him to make it work for another year. I really don't know, man. Lambeau says we really need to get our running game going. I would agree with that. The Denver Broncos need to find a way to sustain a rushing game for all 4 quarters, and RJ Harvey has really struggled in that area. He keeps wanting to bounce everything to the outside when there are plenty of holes down the middle if he just wants to take them, and he's not taking them. So it's really frustrating. Hopefully RJ Harvey looks better in this game, or Tyler Bidet or Jaleel McLaughlin step up. Either way, the Denver Broncos need to find a way to get their run game going. Ironically enough, the Broncos actually worked out a former Raiders running back, Sincere McCormick, today. I'm going to make a separate video about that so you guys can hear my thoughts there once I put that video out. But Clearly, Denver's not satisfied with this running back room, and they are trying to make any addition possible. Cairo says, rumors that Brady wanted Kelly. Yeah, and it's just weird because if Pete Carroll never wanted to work with him, why would you force him to work with an offensive coordinator that doesn't mesh schematically with what you want to do as a head coach? It just never made sense from the get-go. That's why I thought it was a weird hire. How on earth did the Raiders beat the Patriots? Week 1, man. Week 1. All kinds of weird stuff can happen week 1 in the NFL. Maverick says Jets game was way worse in my opinion. I think that one's kind of a coin flip, honestly. Both of them were equally terrible. Both of them, the Broncos played down to their competition, and both of them, Denver was very lucky to get away with the win. So, yeah, I think you can kind of pick one there, and either way, it's an acceptable answer. Do you think Vance would get a head coaching job this offseason? Who would you want to replace him? At this point, I think it's a foregone conclusion that Vance Joseph is going to get a head coaching job. As far as who's going to replace him, I would say Jim Leonhard is the number one guy, the number one candidate. He's currently the Broncos DB coach. He got a promotion with the Broncos this offseason. He's always been kind of that potential successor to VJ. So I would fully expect VJ to get a head coaching job. The Giants job, that's one that's been kind of floated around for him. Maybe he takes Davis Webb with him to be his offensive coordinator. So, yeah, at this point in time, I would say he is going to get a head coaching job, and the number one candidate to replace him here in Denver would be Jim Leonhard. The Raiders game was the last of 7 games in, 39 days? I think the Broncos were exhausted and still beat them. Should be a different game now. I agree. Of course, it's still a division game. Division games can get kind of screwy, so any given outcome could happen, but this game's not on a short week. Denver's coming off of a lot more rest, so I would agree. I think this game is going to go a lot better for the Denver Broncos than the first matchup against the Raiders. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wind this stream down. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to smash that like button as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. And I just spelled something. Good job. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. It helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. Additionally, if you want to go above and beyond in supporting the channel, please consider becoming a channel member today. I would really appreciate it. It's not mandatory whatsoever, but if you want some extra perks and incentives in exchange for helping me out and helping the channel grow, link in the description below. I'm going to clean up these pistachio shells. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.